Okay, we're recording now. All right, so I was thinking about what different topics we've had for demos and things and what would be fun. And so I love to do underpaintings, and there's usually a lot of questions about underpaintings. And I think the most common question that I get is, what should I do? You know, what medium should I use? What colors should I use? And my answer to that is always, sorry you guys, I'm toggling over like the flower vase in the middle of the table. But anyway, my answer to that is always, it doesn't matter. I mean, you could do whatever you want. And so what I thought I would do today, instead of trying to do a finished painting of any kind, I thought I would show a variety of underpainting styles and work a little bit on each one. I'm not going to try and do a finished painting of any of them, but if I work a little bit on each one, maybe you'll be able to see the difference that they make. And these are, so it's a process and technique demo more than anything. This one is liquid charcoal. So most people don't know what that is, and I bought this and I don't use it much. I don't use charcoal all that much, but I was just experimenting with it and playing around with it. And what I did was a combination. So it's water soluble, and these are 3 different colors, and I'll pass them around so you can look at them, take a picture of them or whatever. But they're one is grapeseed black, one is peach stone black, and one is cherry pit black. So they're all slightly different, cooler, warmer charcoal. I couldn't really get it to show me that when I was doing this, and then I just had them in a little dish, and I used the same brush. I didn't clean my brush, so they ended up getting all commingled. But also I had Gamsol for oil painting still on my brush, so you know, this beat it up a little bit. It wouldn't normally do that. It would normally be smoother like that when you're working with it. And while it was still wet, then I did a little scribbling with this hard charcoal and just kind of found my way around the piece a little bit. So we'll pass those around. I don't remember where I bought them. I might have gotten them at, well, it could have been Jackson's Art. Or it could have been Blick or Jerry's or, you know, one of the usual suspects. Yeah, but if you take a picture, you can use Google Lens on your phone, and it will search for based on the image that you took. So you have to find that on your phone. I also have these little nitram charcoals, and it comes in a box of 8, and there's 4 different hardnesses of them. And I don't use these that much either, but anyway, they're kind of fun. What I do tend to use more than anything, if I'm going to do something like that, is just vine charcoal. So I'll use that more often. And I do like this one, this hard charcoal stick. I like this a lot. This is that General's hard charcoal. So anyway.
What was the name of the pencils?
Nitram, Nitram. And they come in a box of 8. You can buy one hardness by itself, or you can buy the variety set, which is what I did. The hard ones were a little too scratchy for me. I like the softer ones. But you're welcome to come look at that stuff. And then that's what this one is. And so what I thought was, this one will be shadow shapes. So this is what I'm going to paint, part of. What I'm going to work on. And so I wanted to tackle it 3 different ways and with 3 different mediums. So this is shadow shapes in charcoal. This is my favorite type of underpainting medium, is oil. So this is oil paint, and it's thinned with Gamsol. And if you did not get a chance to look at it, you could come up and take a look at it or take pictures of some of this, but I don't know how well you can see it from where you're at, but oil paint with the Gamsol, which is just an odorless mineral spirits, creates this spider webby texture when it's real thin like this. And this is all just sanded paper. So I used Lux Archival as the paper. It could be UArt, doesn't matter, you know, as long as it's a light color so you can see what you're doing on it. But I love the way it drips and runs. It's similar to alcohol wash, except alcohol doesn't create this little spider webby pattern. And I love that because to me, the purpose of the underpainting is two things. It gets me very excited about what I'm about to do. Usually I use pretty bright colors for the underpainting. And so it's just a way to kind of get me excited about it before I start painting. And things happen that I can respond to. You don't try to over control this process. You let it be real loose and free. And then it's like, oh, well, that looks like a good place to put that leaf, or that's gonna work really well for grasses, or I like to paint complicated things. You know, and all this texture in this tree and all this mess down in here and stuff, you know, some of that will lend itself really well to not having to cover it all up and let me use some of that texture. Now, a lot of times I cover everything up and people say, why did you bother doing the underpainting? You covered the whole thing up. But I don't cover it all up. There's two finished paintings there that you can look at. And you can see the underpainting peeking through on both of those. So they both have, this one has a red underpainting, so you'll see pops of red. And sometimes I bring the color from the underpainting back on top of the painting later if I really want to see more of that. But I let it peek through. And then this one has more of this color scheme underneath it, which is probably my favorite way to do underpaintings for landscapes. I like to have this pinkish salmon, red, orange kind of thing going on. And so you can see quite a bit of that peeking through in the holes on this. So one purpose is to get me excited about it, and another purpose is to cover the paper so you don't have to worry about all the little holes and you don't have to finger blend and get all the holes filled in. You just, you've already got that covered with color, and now you can just paint on it and leave some of that showing. So this one is complementary colors. So that's a little, the only term I have for it I can't say. It's a little brain twister, let's just say. When you try to do that, it's like, okay, I'm gonna work on where that green leaf is, I'm gonna paint it in red. I'm gonna work on where the red leaves are and paint them in green. I'm gonna work on this orange leaf and make it blue. The sky blue, I'm gonna make it orange. So you have to constantly kind of go back and forth and figure it out as you go. But that's a really fun way to do it, and it does create a really nice vibration. So when you guys know a lot of this already, but when you have complementary colors next to each other, it creates a visual vibration. And so having red peeking through green or orange peeking through blue creates a little extra vibration and interest. So it doesn't get as flat. I like to paint with broken color, so I like to paint patches of light and color next to each other at similar values. And this is kind of like that. This helps with that. So this just adds another layer of depth to your paintings. This one is just all warm tones. For landscapes, it works really well to use this kind of color scheme behind your work. I picked a subject for the painting today that had a pretty broad range of colors so that we could see what happened on these different underpaintings. But if you're doing a landscape, a blue underpainting doesn't work great. Does anybody ever do a blue? Sarah, do you ever do blue? Oh yeah, I don't either. You know, you can buy blue papers. I usually gravitate towards the wine and the warm tones for my papers if I'm gonna buy a colored paper, or UArt dark, you know, that's a freebie for anything. But if I'm gonna do the underpainting, I like these two methods. This one I like, but it takes more work. This one's just pretty immediate and you can just start painting on it. This is, so that's just regular old oil paint with Gamsol. This one is, I did it first with watercolor, and it was really pretty, and then it dried.
Yeah.
And there was like nothing left, and so I was like, well, I don't like that. I want it to be vibrant, and so generally I use those liquid watercolors, like the Dr. Martin's watercolors, concentrated, and they come in little bottles like this. But this is my new fun thing to play with. This is acrylic ink, and you can pass that around too if you want to. It's a liquid, and I have a full range of colors with that, and you just work with it as if it's watercolor, but it's acrylic ink. You can't really, well, you can't say you can't. I don't do acrylic washes. You could, if you thinned it down enough, you could get away with it, but acrylic is plastic, so it's gonna tend to clog up the tooth of your paper more than anything else. I wouldn't use gouache either. It's got too much, I don't know, white, and it's opaque, and so, I don't know. I don't usually use white in my underpaintings. You can also, if you don't know, most of you do, but I don't ever know who's new at what, so you can do pastel and then wash it with water. You could do pastel and then wash it with alcohol. And I didn't do those because I figured most of you have seen that or done that. So I wanted to show you some things that you may not have tried, so.
So these acrylic inks, you can get them at Galleries, Michael's, online. Fantastic. They're great colors. They go on easily. Bethany Fields has some free demos on YouTube on using these acrylic inks that are really nice demos to look at and how she uses them, but I love that stuff.
Yeah, it's very pigmented. Linda?
Jeanette, you said it fills up the paper, so did you thin it? How do you?
This
No,
doesn't,
that's-
but if you were to use tube acrylics,
Oh,
you know, you could theoretically use tube acrylic, like heavy body acrylic or fluid acrylic, and pin it either with acrylic medium or water and make it work, but I don't think it's worth it. I mean, you're risking, I don't like painting on plastic, so I mean, you're gonna have, it's harder to get the tooth that you want with pastel on plastic, even if it's thin. So you might as well use one of these others, because you don't lose any tooth with this. And you don't have to spray them or fix them or anything like that, you just paint on.
because those colors are so vibrant.
That's because the liquid, that's the acrylic ink.
Okay.
So like I said, when I first did this, it looked just like this as wet watercolor. But as soon as the watercolor dried, it was like 20% intensity of this. And I could have kept painting on it and painting on it. I squirted it with a water bottle to reactivate it and put this ink on it, and then it was beautiful again, but it wouldn't have stayed that way. So this stays.
What's your philosophy about using your brushes on sanded paper?
Yeah, so don't use natural bristle brushes. So no sable or hog hair or badger or squirrel or any of that stuff, because it eats them up, it chews them up. So just get synthetic brushes and then you'll be fine. You know, you can either use cheap brushes or synthetic brushes. Now the shape of brush, like in this case, it doesn't matter. I mean, because I was just letting this bloom and do whatever it wanted to do, right? So that's fine. But if I were doing, I didn't do a local color, being the color of things really are. I didn't do one of those because I figured you guys know what that is. So I didn't, you know, I had a list and it was like, do I do 5 paintings at once? I don't think I can do that. So I had to choose. But if I were gonna do an underpainting with pastel and then alcohol wash, I use one of those fan brushes, and I like the real bristly ones, not the soft ones. There's a super soft one that's just like fluff, you know, that's not gonna do anything. But the bristly ones, and you just go to Meiningers or even probably Walmart or something, they're cheap. And you can get, I bought a bunch of them on Amazon. They're, you know, you end up with 20 of them for $5 or something, they're cheap. But they're a fan brush. I don't paint with a fan brush because I don't like the fingerprint that it makes, the little bubble shape. normally, like if I'm doing an oil painting, I don't use a fan brush. But if I'm doing an underpainting, I love to use the fan brush because you can push. So if you can imagine my hand is the fan on the brush, you can push it with the alcohol. Bethany Fields does this a lot too. But you can push the paint around, get alcohol on your brush, and then push it like this, and you're making like branches and grasses and stuff. So it builds in a lot of texture for you that you don't have to worry about. Underpaintings will speed up your painting. That's the other reason to do them. You don't have to do everything. Like, you know, in a case like this, you can already imagine, you know, if this is gonna be my focal area, I don't wanna put a whole bunch of detail here. So, you know, that's what we do, is blur it out and make mush of the stuff that's not as important. So it's already mush. So, you know, I can just kind of respond to what I have here and pop some of the leaves out and the edges and let the rest of it dictate the mush. All right, any other questions? All right, let's see what we can do. I think since I have a sketch here, I guess I'll start on this one, but it's not where I wanted. So I think I'll swap-a-roo. Hmm? I was gonna do a little sketching before can you still see on the thing okay?
Yeah.
All right. I was gonna do a little sketching on all of them, but I didn't. This is another tool that I'm always encouraging people to get. You can buy these on Amazon, like 10 sheets, and they're big. They're like 9 by 12, and then you can cut them down. But this is to cut out all the color, except red. But it turns everything into value scale, so you can judge your values. And so in a case like this, you know, that's, you know, really helpful to figure out what I'm doing. So you just look at your reference and look at your painting through it, or if you're out plein air painting, you can look through that and paint. So I like that little guy. All right.
Or come to Pastel Camp and get one.
That's right.
With your price of admission.
That's right. Freebie for Pastel Camp. All right. So I'm just going to, in this case, I'm going to start with sort of the dark middle value in here and put a little of this on. What I intend to do for today is paint a little bit on all three of these. So I'm gonna kind of do a back and forth and work on different things at the same time. We'll see how it goes. I've done that before. I call it dueling demos, so we'll see. We'll see how far we get, huh?
Banjo music.
Banjo, and the banjo starts. And obviously, I'm not going to worry about everything being totally accurate here as far as following the photo. I don't want to do that anyway, really, ever. I'm just using it for, so that's that leaf. I'm just using it for inspiration, let's just say. So I painted that wrong, so there. And then let's get some of this in here. And some of that guy there, whatever. Get some of this and some of that and some there and that and that. Okay. Now, let's go, we're gonna see how this guy, I'd like to show this. So this is I did a paint along on color harmonies, and I put this box together. This is from Dakota Pastel. So you should come up and look at it when you get a chance, but it has 15 rows, columns. And so what I did was, that's not that, okay. what I did was I went around the color wheel. So this row, or this column is yellow, yellow, orange, orange, red, red, violet, violet, blue, blue, green, green, yellow, green, and then 3 bonus rows. And so I did 6 values of each hue or range around the color wheel. And I labeled it right here. So this is a great tool to help when you're planning a palette, but also like right now, I want some orange in my leaves. And so I've already got an orange column, so I'm just gonna pull some out of there. And I use all different brands of pastels. There's a lot of unisons because I started with unisons. And then a lot of Ludwigs. Lately I've been buying a number of schminkies because I really like the softness of them for, you know, I did some paintings recently where I did pan pastel on a crescent board, which is kind of different. It's like really smooth. But if I can think and paint at the same time. So the crescent, so the pan, I did a white water-soluble oil with a brayer on the crescent board. That's a Don Emerson technique. And then I did the pan pastels over it and loved it. I mean, the pan pastels were designed to feel like paint, to move like paint. But I never felt like they did that when I've used my pan pastels. But on the crescent board with the oil under it, it did act like paint. And so I did a flower, a hollyhock, and it's on my website under the paintings if you want to see it. But I was able to move the pan pastel around with my finger like it was oil paint. It was really cool. But then when I wanted to use my soft pastel sticks, better way to say it, when I wanted to use any of this over the top of it, it wouldn't do it. One of the reasons I like to do that technique is because you can scratch through it. I have a paintbrush that was broken. It was just a wooden handle, and I stuck it in the pencil sharpener and sharpened it, and I used that to sign my oil paintings. So I used that same sharpened piece of wood to scratch through the pan pastel and reveal the white oil paint underneath. And you could do it with black too, if you wanted to reveal little scribbly black lines. But I did it to reveal little scribbly white lines. But then I also wanted to paint on top of that with my sticks, and it wouldn't take most of them, but it took, this is a long story short, here's the punchline, it took the schminkies. So all the other ones were digging through like my stick, but the schminkies would lay down on top of it. So now I'm like, you know, adding to my schminky collection. It's a fun technique. So I need to be mindful of the time and work on all of these, but let's just get a little further along and then we'll do that. I want to put some of the blue on here and some of the green, and I think that's going to help you see what difference it makes. So I'm not going to try and make a perfect leaf here or anything. Let's see. Let's get where's this dude? It's really not that green, okay. And we get this, let's get this little stick in here so we can get our bearings. I think I'm gonna go back to vine charcoal for a second. So one other question that often comes up with this is, does this become a mixed media painting? And no, it does not. As long as the surface is 80% soft pastel, you're good to go. Okay. All right, so we don't need that. So green, 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 green. You guys can ask questions while I'm painting. If I can answer, I will. Sometimes I can't. It gets harder to.
So right now you're working on the green leaf
Yeah,
on top.
I'm just gonna find some of these greens and put them in. I wanna get the range of colors on here for you so that you can get an idea of the effect of the different underpaintings. And, you know, a painting like this, you wouldn't be able to really tell everything what it is until it's much further along. I will finish at least one of these and share it for the newsletter, but I'm not gonna get it today. So if I'm gonna paint on all three of these, then it's just gonna be. More than I can do.
It already looks great.
Oh, well, thank you, darling. It's easy to lose your way on a painting like this because it doesn't really, it's very abstract, but that's okay. And it would really help to stand back, but I can't, I don't have time right now. Well, like I said, I'll work on it later. But, all right, so let's get a little of the blue and what else? Let's just get some of the blue in. I learned something interesting. I did the Alan Picard's Landscape Week. That guy wasn't where he belonged in my box. And then I signed up for his painterly landscape course. He was our judge. Sarah and I did the Mile High at Curtis Center in 21, and he was our judge, and so I took the portrait and the landscape class from him, which was great. And I did Landscape Week with him last year. He does Landscape Week, it's just finished, so it's too late if you missed it, but next time you see it, it's only $10 to sign up for, and there's 3 live sessions and exercises that are an hour long in a Facebook group, so it's really a great deal. And it was really fun, and it was all different content than last year's. So I signed up for the Painterly Landscape course, which is an online course, and there's 6 weeks of lesson stuff, and then from then you have lifetime access, and it's 100 hours worth of material. And so you go at your own pace for the rest of it. So anyway, I signed up for that. So, you know, I don't have enough going on. But,
I think that registration closes very quickly.
Yeah,
So I did the landscape week too.
yeah,
Maybe-
what is it? Tuesday?
Yeah,
Yeah, so sign up by landscapeweek.com.
no, Alan's card.
I think it's also
Oh, is it?
landscapeweek.com. Well, anyway, you'll find it. I have it on my Facebook page too for Facebook friends. But I learned something in Wednesday's class. I heard something that I hadn't heard before. He said, so it's about simultaneous contrast, you guys know what that is, so how a color looks different based on what surrounds that color. You know, if you take a gray or a white and you put it on a white, gray, and black, it's gonna look different. And same thing, colors do that. Not getting into that right now, but he said every color pushes its neighbor towards its complement. And I thought that was interesting. So every color pushes the color next to it toward its complement. I had never heard that before, so I thought that was interesting. Paul's like, what do you mean?
What, can you elaborate?
So if you had if you had a yellow next to, all right, if you had a green next to an orange, then the green pushes the orange towards green, right? Is that what that means? So
Towards blue.
Towards blue.
toward its complement, blue, thank you.
Oh, gotcha.
So it makes this color look bluer than it would if this was something else. I know, it's kind of one of those things.
It's kind of the idea of triadic color, where you move, you know,
I'll let you talk about
Yeah.
that. I'm gonna do this, you talk, Xenia. Go ahead.
well, it's just basically when you're, you know, in the triadic, right? It's the green or the whatever combination, whether it's blue, yellow, and red. Whenever you go towards the left or the right of each color, it gets you closer to the opposite, which is the complementary of each color. And that's why you can, you know, adjust the relative coolness and warmness of any color by the addition of those, kind of closer to the, what we call secondary colors, which becomes, you know, closer to the complementary color when you mix them all together. But if you do mix them all together, you get brown, so you don't want to do that. So it's like just adjust to the left or right, which is the analogous color, as you get nearer. But the more you put the complementary color, that's when you start to muddy up, so just, oh, be careful.
Thank you, Xenia.
You're welcome.
You made it easier for me. I appreciate that. Okay. So, you will notice that I'm leaving little gaps in this as I'm painting. And that's on purpose to let that color peek through. I like to, this is kind of how I paint, not kind of, this is how I paint. So what I mean by that is overpaint the shapes and then carve back into them with the background, you know? It's so much easier than trying to butt colors up to each other. And plus I think it looks more painterly, when you do it that way than if you, are trying to draw in the lines all the time, right?
More negative than positive.
Yeah, negative in a positive way. Huh? No, that was supposed to be funny. Okay, so, that gives you some idea, and then we'll compare to this. So I'll move to the next one now for a bit and see, we can keep going back and forth. But we'll see how far we get. I didn't think that you guys would need to see the underpaintings done. We were contemplating that. Sarah and I were talking, and I was like, do I need to do that? And we decided that I didn't. I mean, it's wet and washy. That's all you really need to know. Georgia calls them backwashes. I think that's funny. She's like, I still think they should be called backwashes. That is a pretty good name for them. I'm gonna try not to trip, you guys. Catch me if I do. All right. So now I gotta get my head wrapped around this, take a sip of water.
This is the first time I've seen those clips. Can you
Yeah.
tell us about those?
They're great. These are from,
Magic clips.
well, they're from Amazon, but you can't get, they're not available on Amazon right now. But you can get them at B&H Photo, or, again, take a picture of them if you want to, but they're called double-sided photography clips or something like that. They're not art clips, they're for photography. So anyway, I bought them on Amazon. I'll try to remember to send Christina a link for the newsletter with one of these as finished painting. Paul, do you happen to have the link? Remember I texted you the link on your phone? Would you keep all that? I can't get it to my phone right now. I'll send it.
After 30 days.
All right, I'll send it to Christina. Okay, so now, let's see. All right, so let's go. The first thing I just thought of is I picked up a completely different red to work on this, which I thought was an interesting choice. But, you know, it does get a little on the intuitive side of things, so I can't answer necessarily always why I felt like I didn't need this red on there, but I do need it here, so.
It's really vibrant.
Yeah. Well, it's a vibrant red, first of all, but, I think a lot of that has to do with the underpainting. And like I said, this is my favorite way to do it. If I'm plein air painting, I can take some tubes of oil paint and I'll just take a little piece of tinfoil, and then I can set it on my palette of pastels before I take the lids off, and I'll just squirt out just some basic oil, you know, like the primaries in oil paint, and, you know, take my Gamsol in a little container. I don't have to take my whole oil rig is the point. And then I can just do a real quick little underpainting. And somebody asked me earlier, how long does it take to dry? It takes, you know, 10-15 minutes. If you're out plein air in the sun especially, it doesn't take that long. I don't have a drawing on this one, so I'm completely, like, they might not be where they belong, but who cares? Let's do this. Let's put that branch in. That'll help. They'll be where I put them, won't they? All right, let's put some of this mess in there. Little scratchy, scribbly stuff. Okay. All right. Now I'm looking for green stuff to make it red. So green stuff. Well, that's red to make it green. See, it gets really confusing. Red leaves. Here. Just think of it that way. It's less confusing. All right, that's that. And then I want a different red for over here.
Was it your
Thanks, Ross. What is it? Somebody's phone? Let's just put some more red there for that, or whatever, stuff.
Do you get some kind of resistance at all with the oil Gamsol?
Nope.
No?
You mean to this?
Yeah,
No.
just because, I mean, it's probably your pressure, because like, I love the effect of the way, you know, you layered that one side there.
On the right.
On the right, it created a lot more texture. To the right, yeah, that one.
Thank you. No, it's just I mean, it's just like painting on the paper with nothing
Okay,
on it.
so it's the paper texture.
Yeah, and this is Lux Archival. Linda Gardner introduced me to this when she was taking
love
some
it.
classes. It is really nice. I think that I love UArt, and I have a roll. I was fortunate that someone gifted me a roll of UArt, so, that's really nice. But,
It curls.
um, Lux Archival. It takes the layers really well, and it doesn't seem to clog up at all. And there's something magical about this Lux Archival. I noticed, when I did not one of those, but I did a painting on it, that the top layers, like you would think you're like, I'm getting to the verge of not being able to put any more pastel on it, and then I put some layers. The impression I got, I don't know how they make it, but this is what it felt like to me. It felt like there were 2 levels of grit. So it felt like there was the finer level on the bottom and a coarser level that was on a higher surface, because I was able to make some marks that didn't seem to affect the underneath layers, and I was able to make marks that sat up on top of the other. It was very interesting, and I was like, whoa, magic!
I love it, I love Lux. I don't even get UArt anymore.
Yeah.
Oh.
It doesn't curl when you do a wet underpainting.
Right, it does do better with the wet, you're right.
It is expensive.
Well, isn't everything anymore?
You know what I do? You do paint small, it's cheaper to buy the large sheet and cut it into the size.
That's
Then
what
you
I
wet.
do.
Yep.
But you have to have room, but if you have room, then that's a good way to do it.
But if you use, pan pastel on
Oh,
it,
it'll eat up
it
your
eats up the sponges like
sponge.
crazy.
But,
Or your fingertips.
but I will say
You
with
can
the,
file your nails up.
with the pans, use the soft tools that are not saying you don't, Phoebe, but if you use the makeup brushes, some people try to get the makeup brushes because they're thinking they're saving money, but they will everything
Destroy.
destroys them, so, yeah, get the soft tools if you're gonna do it. I like I just started getting the big wedge that Don Emerson likes, and that's really all I use anymore is the wedge, so, it seems to be a little sturdier, I think, too, which is nice. Shape them, random shape them, random shape. Okay. All right, now let's get some blue in, and then we'll see what happens on the charcoal. Another thing, oh, I didn't get my orange leaves in. Another thing that Ellen Picard was saying was when you have light, not in this case so much, but we did a scene that was a sunset moon over a pond, and the moonlight was very yellow. He was saying to make it more light, to make that all, if that's all warm colors, then make all the other stuff cool colors, but to not go directly from the warm color to the cool color, to step through the color wheel your way from warm to cool. And I've never heard anybody say it that way before either, so I thought that was kind
Yeah,
of
you don't want to jump your value and temperature too quickly.
Thank you. What's Nina said?
What was that again? What was that again? You were
Oh,
talking jump
whenever
about-
you want to cool down or lighten the color, especially if it's a bright color, don't jump the value too quickly, because what happens, the closer you get to a lighter color, and if it's, if you're working with a warm color and you're trying to lighten it, and then you jump too quickly to something that has more white to it, you're gonna lose the vibrancy. And you know how sun, they have kind of that nice vibrant edging around them, and the tendency is that we when we put in the lighter color, we tend to think, oh, I'm gonna go get a lighter orange or, you know, yellowish orange. Well, if you have a lighter orange, it tends to be, if you jump too light, it already has too much white to it. So what you need to do is maybe go towards a more lighter orangey towards the yellow, and that will maintain the vibrancy, but because of the effect of yellow lightening it, you still get the vibrancy. Then gradually add a more lighter yellow with a little more white to it, and that'll create that lightening effect without creating the chalky, and you still maintain your vibrancy. So any colors work that way.
It sounds like kind of a gradation of sorts.
Somewhat, it's just that, you know, when they say don't jump your values, there's always the mid area that you wanna maintain before you get to the light value of any color.
What was amazing to me in Landscape Week is it's $10 and there were 2,200 people from all over the world. So
Yeah.
he made $22,000.
I know,
for
that's
free
why you can
everywhere.
offer 10 bucks.
Yay, him. Oh, yay, him.
Yeah.
I like him.
He can rest for the next
He's a
3
man.
months.
He's a master.
He is.
He sure is.
And his wife is his partner, and she's
Yeah.
really good.
They have a whole production going with it.
Miriam, Mirjam. That's how you spell it, but it's pronounced Miriam. Mirjam. All right, so let's
His
get.
name too, it's like
Huh?
Elaine, it's
Alan,
Alan.
yeah, Alan. All right, I keep wanting to play more with this one, but I need to get the blue in, so I'll do that. I started to have too much fun. You know, that's another thing, and I say this a lot, but your painting can tell how you're feeling. You know, so smile when you paint. You know, unless you're trying to say something negative. You know, but also, don't talk badly to yourself. Right? Don't be negative to yourself. It's,
Easier said than done.
I know, it can be hard, but if you don't like what's happening, take a break, right?
Blame your teacher.
No.
And don't draw a big X over it either.
Yeah, what happens if you do that, Paul?
Well, it gets corrected, but.
He says, you looked so disappointed, I will never do that again. He's like, well, you know what, you can fix anything, almost. And there's a point where if it's really not worth it to fix it, start over. You know, just start again. But evaluate what are you liking or not liking, and then start again and see, you know, if you can do something that you like better.
And if it's a paper that you can wet, you can wash it off, and it makes a great underpainting color.
Right.
Save the paper and wash
All right, now let's put this one up here.
Are you using the same colors?
Pretty much, yeah. I did vary the red a little bit there, but otherwise, yeah, it's the same colors. I'm trying to. I've kept them all in a neat little pile. Can you see a difference?
So the brighter the underpainting, the more vibrant everything is. Like, it seems to, you know,
Influence the whole.
yeah, they vibrate more. It's,
Right. Well, the color that's under it vibrates.
yeah, that's,
So in this case, I see the green, you probably may not be able to see it from where you are, But I can see the green peeking through the leaf. I don't have that here.
Cause it's closer to the bell.
Well, because, yeah, it's the same, it's all this red color, there is no green. So, you know, that's a nice thing there. I like this rosy color coming through the
Against the
sky,
blue,
and
yeah.
it's pretty similar either case, but I think I like it better here than there, cause that's more of an orange yellow, and this is more of a rosy red. I like the red showing through the green leaf here. Maybe the moral, and we'll see as we go along, but maybe the moral of the story is put green under your red and then do it this way otherwise. I don't know. We don't paint red as often as some other colors anyway, but I could have easily just put some green down before I painted the red leaf if I didn't have it there already. I mean, I could do that here. So it's nice to, and that's part of what broken color is all about, like in here. So colors that are the same value, so this red, no, I didn't use that, I used this. This red that's in here, and if I want to pick some purple, I want to get something that's the same value as that red, and then I can put that in here and it will create broken color. I like to call them just patches, like patches of light and shadow and color. That was a purple. And then you can get another, here's a teal. It will create more of a sparkly kind of a thing going on. And then you can always come back with red again. And say, okay, I want this to be brighter red in through here. And then I want some orange over there. But I've got those other colors in it. So it just adds a little visual interest. Where's some, let's put some of this in here. Okay, so now let's go see if we do some of that over here. I gotta get to the other one too. Is this interesting?
Oh, yeah. I'm loving that underpainting,
Which one?
that ink,
This one?
yeah.
Yep. This will be interesting because this orange is very similar to the underpainting. So it'll be, I think that's kind of a neat little trick with these is to kind of bring that underpainting color back on top again. And a lot of times at the end of a painting, I'll do that where I'll make some dots and dashes that are heavier marks that are sometimes pulling that color back up to the top. All right, how we doing? I got a half hour, so let's see what happens if I try the charcoal a little bit. Let's just see what happens. I haven't done that before.
Did you have to seal it?
No, I didn't. So Mitch asked, did I have to seal it? No, I didn't seal anything. I don't know if I had to or not. We'll find out, won't we? We'll see. Alrighty, so this time I'm feeling green. I don't know. Let's start with the green instead of the red. No, I did not have to seal it, I can tell you that right now. It's pretty, much like, if you do any grayscale work and then you kind of colorize it. It's pretty much like that. But it's doing some of the work of my shadows for me. And I did sketch with that other stick because didn't want to be completely lost here when I started working on it. It's almost like, feels more like a paint by the numbers in this one. There's a weird texture on this one because I had Gamsol stuck in my paintbrush. I did this one late last night, and I had Gamsol still in my brush from when I was working on the oil one, and I thought I picked up a different brush, but I didn't. And so it was what do you call it? Resisting, so it was bubbling up a little bit. And then as it dried, there's a little bit of a bubbly texture to it. But other than that, there wouldn't be. So, like if I come up here and put some color, I don't know, let's see.
Did it create a raised texture?
It did because of the way it dried, but it wouldn't have if I hadn't done that.
That
And
might be a really neat effect for,
yeah, but it's more like, what's it like? It's a mottled texture. You probably can't see it. But can you see it there from where you
Yeah,
guys
I
are?
see at the bottom.
Yeah, so it's kind of a bubbly, mottled look kind of.
What happens if you put some of that ink on top of it? I wonder if it'll resist at all.
The ink or the charcoal?
Well, those bubbly areas with the, you said the Gamsol kind of created that.
So you're saying, if I put more, like if I try to get the,
Ink, yeah.
it's not
on
ink,
top
but
of
the
the acrylic.
charcoal?
No, the acrylic ink, just for the sake of, seeing those texture come out.
You're asking if I paint with acrylic inks on top of the charcoal? Or on
Yeah,
top of the
with that,
pastel?
with a little bit of that Gamsol effect. Just out of curiosity.
Could be fun.
You'd have to, I don't,
I'd have to
I
try.
can't think that would work because the acrylic inks are water soluble, Gamsol is a solvent.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If there's a resistance in somewhere where it's still somewhat the paper, if it'll create more texture with those bubbling. Just curious.
I don't know, Xenia.
I guess I'll have to try it at home.
You're like, yes.
It's too hard right now, I can't, too much to think about. I'm worrying more about this right now.
No, I was just curious if you've tried that before and you've tried it.
Shut up.
No, I don't know. I
was
had
just
never,
asking you this.
I had never done the liquid charcoal as an underpainting either. I just thought, why not? Try it, right?
You're creating a really moody effect with that charcoal.
Yeah, yeah.
As opposed to the others are vibrant, that's very moody.
I wonder if that's just because it's the shadows or,
Well, cause it's muddier too.
well, thank you. No.
It's a
I'm
good mud.
kidding.
It looks like that's what you wanted.
I know.
Don't
I'm
hold
just
anything
teasing.
back.
Just kidding. I was teasing you, Linda. It's all good. I'm not that sensitive.
It's a good mood.
I had an instructor one time tell me that my oil paintings were chalky, and that bothered me. That bothered me for years. I mean, it just like ran around in your head, you know, it's like your paintings are chalky, your paintings are, what does that mean? What, you know, what does that mean? And he's probably gonna watch this video and then he'll be like, ah. I went to a Skip Whitcomb workshop years later, and I said, somebody told me my oil paintings were chalky, what does that mean? And he explained it. So it was I believe it was the white that I was using. I was using a lot of that Permalba. It's a oil white, but it's not titanium white or whatever. And Skip is the one that taught me, for any oil painters in the room, he's the one that taught me to mix transparent colors with opaque colors, and it keeps you from getting chalky whites. So that was just a little foray into oil painting right now, real quick. So we'll just keep going. All right. Well, I think we're gonna make a decent amount of progress for you to see what's going on here.
Also unique, they really.
But, you know, that's another thing. I think it's really important to do color studies and experiment. You know, you don't want to do the same thing all the time or everything's going to look the same, right? So if you want to grow and learn, you have to experiment and try stuff. And so I'm a big advocate of that. And then color studies, you know, when I did that color harmony paint-along.
That was great, you should do that for here.
Thank you. It was 4 hours.
It was
So
great.
it'd be kind of hard to do it as a demo.
That's true.
But I would do it again, you know, if we end up needing something. But I've taught that in a few different places, and it's fun. But I painted that, and then we did the same image that I used for that paint-along in Pastel Camp this last time. So, and I've taught it to my students. So I think I've painted that now 22 times.
Oh.
But they're all different. Every single one of them is different. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. And, you know, when you paint local color all the time, you know, try doing some color studies of different options, because the local color is always, to me, the least favorite after I do that. But it's the first thing that we feel like we have to do, or at least the first thing I feel like I have to do when I'm painting. It's like I always, you know, you just get in a routine of, I'm just gonna paint what I see, and do the local color. But if you do the color studies and get some variety and compare them to the local, I say do the local color first and get it out of your system, right? And then do some variations and compare them and see what you like. And most of the time, the local color is going to be pretty boring compared to the other alternatives, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. So this one does have a totally different feel, doesn't it?
It feels very Asian. It looks very Asian to me.
That's interesting. I wonder what that's about.
Definitely has more graphic.
Yeah, it is more graphic. Well, you know what? Because there's black lines, right? I don't usually do that.
Looks a little bit like Sandy Marvin's, you know, she does all the black line stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and you would get a similar, it wouldn't be so thick, but you would get a similar effect if you did the black oil under pan pastels and then scratched through the black. You would get black lines like that, which is kind of fun. It's totally different. I mean, that you would never know that was mine. It doesn't look anything like what I normally do, but it's fun. So, you know,
This one's great.
okay, well, good. Do you want me to, do you wanna take any questions? Do you want me to keep painting? What do
Okay,
you want me to do?
remind me, you did the liquid charcoal on that one and nothing else after or something else?
Nothing else after? Oh, well,
She did do
kinda,
some
sorta. I did
stick.
do, I took this
the
hard
Oh, yeah, but
charcoal
all charcoal, yeah.
and scribbled on it just to find my sketch and stuff, and it was still a little bit wet. So it kinda smooshed and smeared like that right there. That was kinda fun.
Looks real.
Yeah, so that was fun. And then, you know, you could use your vine charcoal or any of that. And you can erase, like I can't erase these underpaintings, and it would be hard to erase the pastel. But I believe with a kneaded eraser or one of those white rubber erasers, I don't know, this is really hard. I don't know if I can, no, you can't erase it, so it's in there, because it's, you know, water soluble, so I just used it like watercolor. But it's black,
So it's cool.
so, you got the idea, you got enough to get the idea, right?
Yeah.
So for a moody scene, that black, the charcoal
Oh,
thing
for
really.
a bold,
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll do that again, I mean,
Moody
why
with
not, right?
some brights, yeah.
So the water soluble charcoal is sealed so that when you put the pastel on top of it, there's no blending, it just stays in place?
I didn't do anything to it, I just painted it and left it and let it dry, just like watercolor.
That's cool.
None of these had any sealant of any kind, I don't ever use.
But it's not gonna move around or?
No, I didn't have a single bit of it, like, right here, is still the charcoal. I mean, my finger's dirty, but other than that, the charcoal's not moving.
It's like you can do it totally like a grisette, or is that how
Yeah.
you pronounce it?
Yeah,
That would be similar. and
yeah,
it's-
you could, I intended to get different values, so it would be more of a value scale paint. I got a little of that, but if I hadn't had oil in my brush and if it hadn't been late last night, but it still worked out fine, so, I mean, but you could just thin it in different, and these are different tints. One of them is reddish, one of them is, probably more yellow, and then the other one is more pure black. So I intended to show that, but because I mixed them all together with one brush, they ended up all the same. But I did intend to have more of a value study to paint on, but, and you'll see, when you come up and look at this, you'll see that, look right there, there's a lot of texture there. It's almost like if I brayered, a ground on it, but I didn't. It just got wet, with the Gamsol. It just, what is that called? I wanna say buckled, but it's not buckled, bubbled up. Huh?
Impasto?
No, the charcoal, liquid charcoal that would normally lay flat made little bubbles, right? So.
Bubbles.
Bubbled up, so anyway, all right, so that's good. So you can come take a look or whatever, and I'll answer whatever questions you have. Paul?
On the two on the left, which is the oil?
This is the oil, and this is the liquid acrylic ink. I'll write on them. I don't have a Sharpie. Let's see.
I thought the one on the left was alcohol.
I'll write, what?
I thought the one on the left was alcohol, no?
Well, I've moved them around. It was. This one is acrylic ink. This one is liquid charcoal. And then this one is oil, which would be my favorite, but you can't really see much of it anymore, but if I have time, I've got that open door tour coming up. If I have time, I'll finish more than one, but we'll
Do
see.
you think if you did the acrylic ink in the complementary like you did the oil, that it would vibrate as well?
Mhm. Yeah. I rarely do the complementary colors, but I like it when I do.
Yeah.
So I think it just takes more time to think about it, and I did a scene with Orange Tree you know, so you had all the branches and the oranges and the light was hitting the oranges real bright, like, and I like this, and I wanted the vibrancy, and so I did that for that one, but I think I used, I don't know what I used under that, alcohol wash or watercolor, one or the other. But, I loved how that one came out. That's the only one I think I've ever done with the compliments. Sometimes I just wing it and put whatever I feel like it wherever I want to. And sometimes some of them are compliments, but I usually like to put this rosy color under a sky. And I would say a purple or an orange under the grass is a good idea. But other than that, you can kind of have at it. Any other questions? So if you come look at stuff, I'll put this stuff out here so you can look at it if you want to. And then I think one of the liquid
I've
inks
got it.
didn't come up.
I've got
Okay,
it.
all right, thank you.